Well, hello and welcome back to GearHeadGeeks. Well, in this video, we're going to do something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and that is restore old rusty tools. I had gone to an estate sale and gotten a whole bunch of tools, and this welding clamp was one of them, and it is rusty and is nasty. And there's been all sorts of videos out there that use vinegar and evaporust. We're going to try something completely different, so stay tuned while we go on ahead and see if we can get this tool looking beautiful. So to remove that rust, we're going to use something a little different. We're going to use something called acrylic acid, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. But anyway, this stuff is inexpensive. I spent maybe $15 for 2 pounds of this stuff, and I've tried it on a couple things. I used it to bleach some wood on a snap-on scooter chair where the varnish had gone away, and this stuff just made the wood like brand new. It bleaches out all the crud, but somebody said it's good for rust removal, so we're going to put that to the test. So all that we need here is, I've got some water, and this is warm water. I just went over to the sink and put some warm water in it. I've got a tray, which came with some, I think, ribs from Costco, and our acrylic acid. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to move the camera, and we'll point down at our tray. Yep, pretty good. And we are going to go on ahead and we'll take our vice grips, our nasty, rusty, ugly vice grips, uglier the better, and we're going to just take them and put them in this tray. I'm going to see if I can open this up. Yeah, that works good. I opened them up. That way things can get in it. I'm not going to take it all apart. We're just going to soak it, and let's see what it does. Actually, so we can take this out. Let me mix this up first. We're just going to take and pour in some water. And again, this is warm. This water is really warm. Give us a head start on it. We don't really need warm water, but it makes the acrylic acid dissolve a little better. That I do know. Okay, so we're going to take some of this stuff and open it up. And it's a little clumpy at the moment, so I'm going to take, I should be wearing gloves to do this, but I'm going to take what looks to be a couple tablespoons. Let's just give it a little more. I'm going to go rinse off. I'll close up the deal. I'm going to go rinse off my hands while that dissolves a little bit. And we'll be right back after it's dissolved. Okay, I've got a popsicle stick, and we're just gonna dissolve this stuff. I don't know if this was a great idea with this type of tray. It's all right. It has a bunch of little honeycomb, got like a honeycomb in the bottom of it, and it's kind of holding on to our stuff, but that's okay. Seems to be coming out fairly well. Okay, so that's that. Now we're just going to take this guy and we're going to make sure that it's completely covered, and it looks like I'm going to need to add some more water, which is okay. And there we go. So it's completely covered, and we've got our silicate. You know what? Let's just throw in a little more for laughs. You know, why not? We'll just take in and dump in a little bit and stir it in. Why not? I mean, we really haven't yet. We probably use, what, 25 cents worth? Maybe. And I'm going to stir this up. You can kind of smell it in the air. It's not, it doesn't have a bad smell. It's just kind of a, I don't know, kind of an industrial smell. I don't know if that's a good explanation for it or not, but anyway, so what we have here is it's soaking, it's completely submerged, and we're just going to push this guy off to the side, and we will come back in a couple of hours and see how we did. I'm going to try not to make a mess. And this is after about 10 minutes. Yeah, I'd say 10 minutes. It's already eaten away that rust, and it's turned kind of green. There's just a little bit of brown left. We'll let that soak for a little more, but that's amazing. Okay, so let's take a little, looking at this, we're getting a bit of a reflection here from the window. Let me see if I can get in close. And let's just take and see what's happening here. If I take a little bit of brush here. No, we're not quite ready for prime time, but you can see it's getting better by the minute. Really cool. So it's been about an hour, and I'm just kind of poking around at this rust with the little popsicle stick, and the really heavy, nasty stuff. Now, I did not do a good job of cleaning this. I did not degrease it. I did not do anything. But what I'm seeing here is where the really, really thick rust was, it has eaten through the top layer of it, and it's now starting to dig into that. If I stirred around a little bit, I'm seeing a little bit of that dark rust come out. And it's only been about an hour. So I'm going to go mix around some of this powder that has gotten caught in these little grooves, which is probably a bad thing. So we'll get that stirred up a little bit and just keep on letting this go. So we'll be back later. Well, I've been kind of poking away at this with the popsicle stick, and the results are so far so good. It's been a couple of hours at this point. I think about 2 hours so far. And as I poke around, it's the stuff is just kind of coming off. Now I've got a little brass brush here, and let me kind of scrub on this a little bit and see what it looks like. Well, the brass brush isn't making much difference in there. I mean, it's probably helping just, you know, agitate a little bit. But we'll let this go some more. I think a couple more hours, and this bad boy is going to look pretty darn good. It's already making, it's already a pretty big change already. Okay, here we go. I put on a pair of gloves so I'm not having all the stuff. Now, let's take a look here. I mean, it's turned kind of green, which is a little strange, but let's, I'm going to scrub it a little bit. Let's see what it did. Remember, this was really, really horribly rusted. I've never seen, the green is kind of interesting. Is it green from the nickel or what? I don't really know. But what I do know is it doesn't look like there's any rust here. Junk in there. I think what I'm going to go do right now, I'm going to take this over to the sink real quick and give it a rinse. I'll come back and we'll look at it. So far, so good though. Not bad. Well, boys and girls, I gotta say, that is as close to being a complete success as far as removing rust as it gets. That was not terrible. Now, is it great? No, not yet. But this is the first stage in at least getting all that rust out of there. It's all gone. yeah, the surface is in terrible shape. I mean, it was really, really heavily rusted, but in some places this thing looks just great. So now we got to figure out what's next in what we're going to do. Can we take a like a Dremel and with a wire brush and see if we can't get some of the crud off of it? Maybe that might be the way to do it. So let's grab a little wire brush. Let me get a clean one here. All right, we'll just grab a little wire brush with a Dremel and let's see what it does. I mean, we're experimenting here. I don't know. Let me let's get a rag and at least wipe off some of the water. I'm pretty impressed. This is pretty good stuff. And you know, this would work extremely well in a gas tank. I mean, that's cheap. That's this stuff here. I bet you I could pour that into a rusty gas tank, just what that is, and it would take care of it. And just wiping this thing off, that's another interesting thing. I wonder what would metal polish would do before we get too crazy here. How about some good old mothers? Let's just give that a try. Why not? I got an ugly rag here we'll use. And when I say ugly, I mean ugly. I have to get some more mothers here. All right, so let's just go on ahead, and we can see that this surface is a little dull. Let's just see what happens when we hit it with some little metal polish. Let's just relax. We're just experimenting at this point. Now we're getting a lot of color on that. That's good. Okay, and let me wipe off some of this. Use a cleaner rag to do that. That didn't really help all that much, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, it looks okay, but nowhere near show quality that we really want. Now, one of the things that we are going to end up having to do now, looking at it, I never looked at it that close before. We're going to have to put some nickel plating on this, and we will do that. Yeah, this thing is it's still a little bit on the rough side. Let's try this. And to be honest, I think what we ought to do here is, I think before I do anything else, is this thing needs some more time in the stuff. I can see and hear that it seems that the side that was up got a little bit better. This side was down. So let's take this, and we're going to go on ahead, and I'll get this out of the way. And we're going to go on ahead and take this stuff. I'm going to try and move very slowly and deliberately here. Then I'm going to stir this up a little bit. It looks like some of it has settled. Give it a bit of a stir. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this thing back in, and we'll just let it cook. Actually, I need to wind this back in a bit. And we'll see what it does. If it destroys the nickel, it destroys the nickel, and we'll figure that out. And it looks like we are completely saturated there, or completely underneath. So we'll let that cook for a while, and that's that. So we had some fantastic luck using the acetic acid on this set of vice grips. There is still a lot of finish missing, but the rust is completely gone. It was super inexpensive. It didn't take all that long. We got through step one of all this. It is just in great shape. There's just like zero traces of rust on this thing. Very, very nice. This is great. We will have a nice restored set here. We're going to do a little bit of refinishing on it, so stay tuned for that one. Well, so now that we have successfully and completely removed all the rust off of this thing, that acrylic acid just did a great job. What we need to do now is get this ready to make it look good again. So we're going to use some nickel plating here. We're going to use some brush-on nickel plating, which is a really easy way to do things. I've got to go through, and there's a couple, these being welding pliers, there's some slag that has made it onto this. I'm going to go grind that off and just get all the bad pieces off of it so it can look good again. So I'll go grind that off, and we'll start setting up for a nickel. Oops, that little piece of slag, I just took a pair of pliers and broke it off, so that it really didn't dig in too much. So we're ready to go on ahead and get ready for nickel. Okay, so what we have here is some bright nickel plating solution. It comes in a jar, and it's not very expensive. It's just a few dollars. We've got a power supply over here, which let me see if we can see that. Get our power supply over here, and it is going to be set up to 5 volts at the moment. Then we've got our part here. This has been cleaned by the acrylic acid, so this is fairly clean. And what we're going to do here is we're going to take a makeup pad. This is just plain old ordinary makeup pad, and we've got a zinc anode here. And this is just a nickel anode here. I just bought a couple little sheets of it. These are from Caswell. These are just nickel anodes. Nothing too special. You can get, they're all over Amazon, whatever. And then we're going to use this makeup pad as our applicator for our nickel. Now what we're going to be doing is electroplating. So when we electroplate, we have a power supply set up so that the negative is on the part and the positive is on our anode. And what we'll do is we're going to soak this with a little bit of this stuff here, this plating compound, and we're just going to rub it in to all the spots. So what we got to do here is I'm going to try and show you on camera some of the bad spots that we have here. And I don't know if they show up very well, but there's no nickel in here. There's no nickel in here. This side has got no nickel in a lot of places. It's just kind of worn off. This has got pretty good nickel on it right there. But as you can see, it's just not the same over here. This is all kind of gone. It's, these are welding pliers. They've been heated up, and it's just, they're old. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and replate these things and see if we can get this guy looking dynamite again. So here we go. I'm going to hook up the negative to a place that we don't have to plate. I'm not doing that, just because of that. It's just easier now. I know I don't have to plate it right there. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take this and wrap it around this little anode. And I'm going to turn on the power supply and set it to 5 volts. And then I'm just going to open up this, and I'm just going to put some of this on this little pad. Now this stuff is conducive to making the part transfer from the anode to here. So here we go. And as I go along, I can see I'm already drawing almost a 1/2 amp right now. And I've never ever tried it on a tool like this. I've used it on a fender, which was polished up very, very nicely, and it worked beautifully. So what's happened here is, what I can see so far, is this area in here is starting to come around. It's starting to look pretty good. This is still pretty rough. And I'm not sure what we need to do here quite yet. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is take a Dremel, and I'm going to work in this little area in here to get, oh, you know what it is? It's just dirty. I didn't do a good enough job of cleaning this. This is what the real problem is. I can see that now. All the little pores in this thing are filthy. So what I'm going to do here is get this part clean again. Okay, so after a little bit of rinsing, we can see that this is a little bit duller in here, but it's a little more even. And I think just a little bit of polishing might just bring this guy around to where it's looking pretty good. And this whole area that had no nickel on it, which was completely gone, you can see it's starting to shine up and starting to look pretty much normal again. It's working. A little bit slow process, but it's working. So I'm going to go on ahead and continue wiping the nickel on there. You don't want to watch me do it for an hour or two. And we'll see how this turns out. Okay, so I've gone over all all of this with nickel, and all that splotchiness is basically gone. There's some little dark spots in it, but at least there's nickel on everything now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over this with something called Never Dull. It's commonly available. This stuff has been around forever, and it's just kind of a batting type stuff, and it's just got a little bit of polish in it. So we're going to go over this guy. And it does a good job of cleaning. It's kind of good for aluminum, chrome, nickel. Doesn't do a bad job. It's not like Autosol, which is you know, really digs in. This is just kind of going over it and just kind of shining things up. And we'll see if we can get this thing looking pretty much like new. Remember how we started. We started with a rusty, nasty mess that was really quite terrible. But I'm just going over this with this just gently. It's not anything great. Just kind of, and it's picking up. I rinsed off all the really bad stuff. I mean, you know, the nickel plating solution and all of that. And as you can see, it's starting to shine up pretty nicely. We'll give it one final go over with a rag. And remember, this was our really bad area in here. This had no nickel on it whatsoever. And you can see it's restored basically back to its kind of yellowish nickel. It's probably a little brighter than the original, but that's okay. All right, I'm going to get a clean rag and we'll take a look at it. So let's take a look at the final product here. As you remember, it was rusty, it was really corroded, there were deep rust pits in it. This thing is looking really, really good. It's an old set of welding pliers. I don't need it to be perfect. I just want it to look, well, just, you know, like a fairly new set of pliers. This has been a completely successful experiment in how to refinish an old rusty tool. We've completely got this thing looking good, and now I have a good set of welding pliers. These are going to get used. These aren't just for show. They are going to get used. All my welding pliers are a little bit smaller than this, and these are just good old-fashioned vice grips, made in USA welding pliers. So all that being said, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and if you enjoy this kind of content, come on back to GearHeadGeeks and we'll be giving you more of this.